My dear friends, have you ever been in a place where you feel like you've tried everything but nothing works? You keep holding on, but it feels like you're slipping further, deeper into the darkness. You've prayed, cried, begged for answers, but still nothing. It feels like you're just fading. You look around and wonder, does God even see me? There's a weight pressing on your chest, an invisible burden that's more than just the circumstances of life. It's a heaviness that comes from deep within. You've lost something. Maybe it's a dream, a relationship, a job, or someone you loved. Or maybe it's just a part of you that's slowly slipping away, like you're losing grip on everything that once held meaning. And so there you are alone. You try to keep the tears at bay, but they fall anyway. It's not just the loss you feel, it's the silence. The silence that seems so loud when you're waiting for God to answer, waiting for Him to show you the way. But the answers aren't coming. The pain isn't easing. Have you ever felt like God isn't listening? Like you're praying, but your prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling, falling to the ground unheard? In that moment, the hurt is all-consuming. You wonder, is this it? Is this how my story ends here in this pit of despair? But what if I told you that in the deepest darkness, something miraculous is stirring? What if this moment, this exact moment of despair, is the very place where your story is about to change forever? But first you have to hold on just a little longer. The storm you're facing, it's not the end. It's the beginning. Look at yourself. Look at the scars. Do you see weakness, or do you see proof that you've survived every storm so far? You're not alone in this, even if it feels like it. The journey ahead might be tough, but trust me, you're stronger than you know. And God sees you. He sees your pain, your struggle, your every tear. This is not the end. It's just the moment before the storm begins to break. Have you ever felt like you've carried a weight that no one else could see? Something so heavy it seems to settle deep into your bones, a burden that follows you everywhere, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't shake it off. The person in this story knows that feeling all too well. Life hasn't been easy, and every time they take a step forward, it feels like something pulls them 2 steps back. This is someone who's been through loss, pain, disappointment. They've lost people they loved, dreams they once held close, and opportunities that slipped through their fingers. Maybe it wasn't just one big thing, but a series of smaller things that weighed down on their spirit. A betrayal from someone they trusted, a choice made that now feels like a regret too deep to undo. Perhaps they lost a job, or a relationship crumbled, or maybe they just realized that everything they worked for wasn't as fulfilling as they once thought. They've been there, standing at that crossroad, uncertain of where to go next. The struggle of their past seems to loom over them like a dark cloud, blocking the light of hope from shining through. And every prayer they've whispered seems to float up unanswered into the sky, leaving them feeling abandoned. Has God forgotten them? They wonder, even as they sit in the silence, waiting for a sign, for something to shift. In these moments, the thoughts of why this is happening are consuming. Where did things go wrong? What happened to the dreams that once filled their heart with hope? And more than anything, the question that haunts them, why hasn't God stepped in to make it better? They look at the road ahead, uncertain, afraid of taking another step. Sometimes the weight of their uncertainty feels unbearable. They wonder if maybe their prayers don't matter, or worse, that they are too small, too insignificant for God to hear. But deep inside, there's still a flicker, a tiny spark that hasn't gone out. It's faint, almost imperceptible, but it's there. They hold on to that spark, even if it's all they have left. It's easy to let doubt take root, to allow the disappointments of the past to dictate your future. But somewhere in the quietest moments, when the heart is still, there's a whisper, a voice that says, I am with you, even when it feels like I'm not. Maybe this is a test call to lean in when the world says to pull back, to trust when it seems impossible. But you know what? Even in that space of doubt, where everything feels uncertain, there's power in surrender. A surrender that doesn't mean giving up, but choosing to let go of control. The story isn't over yet, not by a long shot. Have you ever felt this way? Standing at the edge of something, not sure if you should take the next step? You're not alone. It's okay to feel this way. This is a part of the journey, the struggle, the questions, and yes, even the pain. But hold on, it's not the end, it's the middle. And what comes next? The turning point, will show you that faith isn't just something you find when everything is good. It's something you find in the middle of the mess when you have nothing left but hope. There are moments in life when you feel like you're fighting on multiple fronts, both externally and internally. The external struggles seem overwhelming. Relationships are crumbling. Finances are tight. Opportunities are slipping away, but it's the internal battles that really leave scars. The fight for hope, for belief, for faith in something bigger than yourself. And the worst part? The internal battles are the hardest to escape. They're the quiet ones that no one else sees but everyone feels. It feels like everything's stacked against you. You've lost your job, the bills keep piling up, and the people around you don't understand the weight you're carrying. You feel stuck, trapped in a cycle of disappointment, and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to break free. And the most painful part, you thought you had faith. You thought you believed that God would provide, that He'd come through when you needed Him most. But here you are questioning everything. Your prayers seem to hit a brick wall. The silence of heaven is deafening. You wonder, does God even hear me? Every time you close your eyes to pray, it feels like you're just talking into the void. It's almost as if your words are disappearing, absorbed into the emptiness that surrounds you. The pain and confusion seem to amplify with each unanswered prayer, each passing day. It's easy to start feeling as though God has forgotten you. After all, if He truly cared, why wouldn't He fix this? Why would He allow you to suffer for so long? It's the constant cycle of hope followed by disappointment. You try to push forward believing that things will get better, but they don't. You take a step and then another, but with each step you feel more and more drained. You can barely muster the strength to keep moving. And in those quiet, vulnerable moments, when it's just you and your thoughts, the doubt creeps in like a shadow. You ask yourself, am I worthy of His help? Did I mess up too many times for God to care? Was I ever really on His path to begin with? But the struggle isn't just external. It's not just about losing your job, your health, or your relationships. It's the internal fight that takes the heaviest toll, the constant battle within yourself. The guilt, the shame, the feeling that maybe you just aren't good enough. The lies the enemy whispers. You don't deserve help. You've been bad. You've made too many mistakes. And with every whisper, it feels like you're sinking deeper into a pit of despair. The burden grows heavier and you wonder if there's any way out. The doubts grow louder. You wrestle with your faith, questioning everything you've been taught. What's the point of praying if nothing changes? If God loves me, why does He let this happen? Why doesn't He show up when I need Him most? You start to feel like you're holding on by a thread, and that thread is getting thinner by the day. But even in the midst of this darkness, there's still a part of you that clings to hope. Maybe it's a flicker, maybe it's just a whisper, but it's there. You remember the moments in your life when you saw God's hand in action, when prayers were answered in ways you never imagined. You recall the verses that spoke to your heart, the times when you felt His presence close, when the impossible became possible. Still, the battle rages on. You continue to fight with all your strength. Your mind races with worries. Is there a way out? Can I ever truly trust again? Can God heal this deep pain in me? You're torn between the voice of doubt and the voice of hope, trying to discern which one to listen to. But this inner conflict, this spiritual tug of war, is more than just a crisis of faith. It's a battle for your heart, your soul, and your future. Will you choose to believe even when everything around you suggests you shouldn't? Will you trust even when your mind is screaming that it's all hopeless? And somehow, even in your weakest moments when you feel like you're losing the fight, there's still something within you holding on. Maybe it's a prayer, a tiny flicker of faith, or a quiet whisper from God, a whisper that says, I'm still here, keep fighting. This battle, these struggles are part of the journey. And though it feels like you're losing, you're really on the brink of something bigger. The moment when God will step in and reveal that He was working behind the scenes all along. The battle within is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of growth, a sign that you're still holding on even when it feels like you can't. There's a lesson here. You don't have to have it all together. You don't need to be perfect or strong or certain. You just have to keep fighting even when it feels like the odds are against you. Because the moment of breakthrough is closer than you think. The truth is, it takes more strength to surrender than it does to fight. The hardest part isn't in the battle itself, but in the decision to release your grip on everything you've been holding on to so tightly. It's in the moment you admit, I can't do this alone. And when you let go of your need to control, that's when something shifts. You find yourself on your knees, not in defeat, but in humble acceptance. It's not a dramatic moment. It's not the thunderous clap of a miracle. It's a quiet, intimate surrender between you and God. You realize that no matter how much you try to control the outcome, you are powerless in this moment. And that's okay. The breakthrough begins the moment you acknowledge your weakness and lay it before God. In your prayer, you find yourself speaking words you've been too afraid to say before. God, I don't know how this will work out. I don't know why this is happening, but I trust you. These words, simple as they are, hold an immense weight. They mark the moment when your heart shifts from fear to faith, from doubt to trust. It's a turning point, a moment of raw vulnerability where you fully acknowledge your need for God's help. You can feel the tension inside of you begin to ease, not because your circumstances have changed, but because your perspective has. You don't have the answers yet, but you're choosing to trust that God does. The weight that once felt unbearable begins to lighten, and for the first time in a long time, you feel the faintest glimmer of peace. In this moment of surrender, you may feel nothing at all. You may feel a profound sense of release. There may not be an immediate flood of emotions, but there's an inner knowing that something has changed. You've opened yourself up to God's work, and even though you can't see the full picture yet, you believe that He's working behind the scenes. Perhaps in the quiet of your heart you hear a soft whisper, "Trust me." It's a whisper that doesn't demand answers, doesn't promise instant relief, but simply offers peace in the midst of the storm. It's as if God is gently reminding you that you don't have to understand everything right now. You only need to trust that He is with you, holding you, guiding you through. This moment of surrender is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of something new. It's the starting point of healing, transformation, and renewed hope. You're no longer carrying the weight of your struggles alone. The burden has been shifted, and you've given it to God. It's in the stillness after surrender that you begin to notice the first signs of change, maybe not in your circumstances, but in your heart. The fear, the anxiety, and the anger you once held on to begin to fade. The internal chaos is replaced with a deep, quiet trust in God's timing and His plan for your life. This is the turning point. The moment when your faith moves from theory to practice, from words to action. You've crossed a threshold, and while the journey ahead may still be uncertain, you are no longer walking it alone. You've chosen to trust God even when the answers aren't clear. And that decision will lead you to the breakthrough you've been waiting for. After the pivotal moment of surrender, things don't magically change overnight. There's no immediate flash of lightning or overwhelming sense of clarity, but something has shifted inside. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but the change is real. Your heart, which once felt heavy and burdened, now carries a different weight tone that's lighter, freer. The anxiety that once gnawed at you is now replaced with a quiet peace. You begin to notice it in small, almost insignificant ways. You wake up one morning, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you don't feel the overwhelming weight of dread pressing down on your chest. It's not that your circumstances have miraculously improved. Rather, your perspective has begun to change. You no longer feel as though you're fighting against the world. You've accepted that there are things you can't control, and in doing so, you've found freedom. The breakthrough doesn't come in a grand, dramatic moment. It's more like a quiet realization God is still at work. Even when you couldn't see Him, even when you felt abandoned, He was moving behind the scenes. As you look back on the past few weeks or even months, you start to see the breadcrumbs that God has been leaving for you all along. You notice the small answers to your prayers, the ones you may have overlooked or dismissed as coincidences. Those little moments of grace, of divine timing begin to stack up. There comes a point in every believer's journey when the weight of life's struggles becomes too heavy to bear. It's in these moments that the soul stands at a crossroads. You've reached a point where your faith feels fragile, and you're faced with a choice: to trust in God's plan or to walk away entirely, doubting His goodness and His promises. It's a crossroads of the Spirit, and the path you choose will shape your future. The pain you're feeling doesn't just come from your circumstances, it comes from the belief that God is absent. The spiritual confusion begins to sink in as you wonder, where is God in all of this? You've prayed, you've believed, you've hoped, But where is he now? It's not that you don't love God. It's not that you don't believe in him. It's that you've been standing in this storm for so long that the wind and the rain have clouded your vision. You can no longer see the way forward. You begin to question, how could a loving God allow me to go through this much pain? Where is his love in the middle of my suffering? These are the questions that flood your mind in the darkest moments. The frustration starts to build. How can you reconcile the God you've always known, the God of love, of provision, of miracles, with the pain you're enduring? It's a spiritual tug of war. The question isn't just whether or not God exists, but whether he cares enough to step in when you need him. The silence you feel from God is deafening. Every time you cry out, every time you reach out in prayer, it feels like the heavens are closed. You felt his presence in the past, those moments of closeness and peace that filled your soul with warmth and reassurance. But now all you feel is a distant emptiness. It's easy in times like these to allow doubt to take root. You think of past experiences when God answered your prayers quickly, when things fell into place effortlessly, but now everything is different. Now it feels like you've been abandoned. The trust you once had feels like a distant memory, and with every unanswered prayer, the seed of doubt grows stronger. And yet, in the quietest moments, when your mind quiets and your heart is still, something within you begins to stir. There's a soft whisper, a gentle reminder from deep within that God hasn't abandoned you. He's still here. It's a voice you can barely hear over the chaos, but it's enough to make you pause. You remember those past moments when God showed up when you thought all hope was lost, but then somehow things turned around. You recall the times when his provision was evident, when a door opened just when you needed it most. The memories of those blessings don't erase the current pain, but they do remind you that God has never left your side, even when you couldn't see him. As you wrestle with your doubts, there's a quiet conviction that begins to emerge. It's not a loud, triumphant voice. It's not a sudden miracle. It's simply the quiet whisper of God's truth. I have been with you all along. It's in this moment that the crossroads become clear. The question isn't whether God exists or whether he cares about you. The real question is, will you trust him? Even when everything around you seems uncertain, will you choose to believe in his goodness even when your pain screams otherwise? This is the essence of spiritual struggle, the place where faith and doubt collide. But in the midst of the internal war, there's a choice. It's a choice that leads to healing, to restoration, and to a deeper relationship with God. It's the choice to trust even when you can't see the way forward. It's the choice to lean into faith even when everything within you wants to turn away. The beauty of this spiritual crossroads is that it's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting God in the silence, in the confusion, and in the pain. It's about choosing to believe that his plan is greater than your understanding. It's in these moments of spiritual tension that you are shaped, refined, and ultimately transformed. So, at the crossroads of faith, the choice is yours. Will you surrender your doubts, your fears, and your pain, and choose to trust in God's unwavering love and faithfulness? It may not be easy. It may not be instant. But the choice to trust God, despite your confusion, is the very thing that will bring you closer to his heart. At some point, when the weight of uncertainty becomes too much to carry, the soul reaches its breaking point. You feel as though you've exhausted every option, fought every battle, and prayed every prayer only to see no change. The exhaustion is overwhelming. You've been trying to control everything, holding on tight to every detail of your life. But with each passing day, the strain becomes unbearable. It's in this moment, in the quiet ache of your soul, that something incredible happens. You finally let go. You may find that a new opportunity presents itself, one you never expected. Maybe it's a job offer that seems tailor-made for you, or a relationship that starts to heal in unexpected ways. Perhaps you feel a renewed sense of purpose, even in the mundane tasks of life. You start to see the blessings in your life with fresh eyes. Things you took for granted now hold new significance. You see the love of friends and family in a way that feels deeper than before. In your quiet moments, you begin to reflect on how you've changed. The pain you once felt is still there, but it no longer holds the same power over you. Your heart is softer now, more open to receiving love, more receptive to the subtle guidance of God. You realize that the struggles you faced weren't in vain. They've shaped you, molded you, and prepared you for this new season of growth. Your faith, once fragile and uncertain, has been refined. You no longer doubt God's presence in your life. You've come to understand that His timing isn't always our timing, and that even in the most difficult seasons, He is at work. The past pain, the unanswered prayers, and the long nights of uncertainty, all of them have played a role in this moment of clarity. They were the chisel, and your heart was the stone being shaped. Now, you're beginning to see the bigger picture. It's not just about the momentary relief from pain, it's about the transformation that's taking place in you. You've been changed not by the absence of struggle, but by your willingness to trust in the process. The person you are today is stronger, more resilient, and more rooted in faith than you ever were before. The blessings, though small at first, begin to multiply. Perhaps it's in the form of a restored relationship, a renewed sense of direction, or even a deeper understanding of your purpose in life. You begin to notice the ways in which God has been preparing you for this season all along. You realize that even when it felt like He was silent, He was never absent. This is the breakthrough. The shift from seeing only the problems to seeing God's hand at work in the midst of them. It's the realization that God's ways are higher than our ways, and that even when we can't see the full picture, we can trust that He is orchestrating everything for our good. Your faith isn't the same as it was before the struggle. It's deeper, stronger, more rooted in the reality that God is faithful no matter what. And with this new perspective, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep trusting. As you continue on this journey, you feel a quiet excitement building within you. The future doesn't seem so uncertain anymore. You don't know what the next chapter holds, but you do know this: you're not walking through it alone. The God who has been faithful in the past will continue to be faithful, guiding you every step of the way. And so you move forward, no longer weighed down by doubt or fear, but filled with a renewed sense of hope and trust in the one who has never left your side. As you continue to walk through life, after that moment of surrender, something extraordinary begins to unfold within you. It's not just the external circumstances that start to shift, but a deep internal transformation. You feel as though you've emerged from a storm, not unscathed, but strengthened, reshaped by the very struggles that once seemed to threaten your existence. The old version of yourself, the one consumed by anxiety, doubt, and fear, is no longer who you are. Yes, the past still matters and the scars remain, but they've been healed in ways you never thought possible. You're not the same person who once stood on the edge of despair, ready to give up. You've been renewed, both in spirit and mind. Your faith has grown in ways that words can hardly express. You've gone from a place of struggling belief to a place of steadfast trust in God's promises. There was a time when you doubted if God was really with you, when His presence seemed distant and His silence deafening. But now you feel His closeness in a way that you never have before. The God you once questioned is now the God you hold fast to, the one who has carried you through every storm. You've learned that faith is not about having all the answers or about seeing everything clearly. It's about trusting in God's character, His faithfulness, and His love for you no matter how the circumstances appear. Your perspective has shifted. You no longer view the struggles as setbacks or signs of failure. Instead, you see them as the very tools God has used to refine you, to build in you a resilience you didn't know you had. These trials were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to strengthen you, to build a faith that is unshakable. You walk through each day with a sense of peace that was once foreign to you. There's a quiet confidence in your heart, a sense that even though life isn't perfect and challenges are inevitable, you can face them with the strength God has given you. You don't fear the unknown anymore because you know the one who holds your future. You've learned to trust in His timing and, more importantly, in His process. You understand now that God's ways are far higher than yours, and while you may not always understand the path He's leading you down, you trust that it's the best path for you. The old doubts, those questions about your worth, your purpose, and whether God even cared, dare no longer part of your daily inner dialogue. They've been replaced with a new confidence. You know who you are in Christ. You are His beloved, and nothing can change that. You've learned to live out of this new identity, and it has empowered you to take bold steps forward. Relationships that once felt strained or broken have begun to heal. You've found that forgiveness, both giving and receiving, has become easier. There's a new humility in your heart, a deeper understanding of grace, and you carry it with you in every interaction. Your relationships are no longer weighed down by the burden of past hurt, but are infused with a sense of hope and renewal. You also find that your sense of purpose is clearer now. The confusion that once clouded your thoughts has been replaced by clarity. You may not have all the answers, but you have a deeper sense of direction. You trust that God is leading you one step at a time into a future that is full of possibilities. The pain and confusion of the past no longer define you. Your new identity in Christ does. You're not afraid of the future anymore because you know that no matter what happens, God is already there. But the transformation isn't just about feeling stronger, it's about becoming a witness to God's faithfulness. You find yourself sharing your story with others, offering encouragement to those who are in the midst of their own struggles. You've experienced firsthand the power of God's presence in the darkest moments, and now you're a living testament to the truth that God is always with you, especially in our most difficult times. Your story becomes one of hope. It's a reminder that no matter how deep the pain, no matter how long the night, God's light will eventually break through. And when it does, it will illuminate everything around you, giving you the strength and courage to continue moving forward. You now walk with a sense of purpose that you never had before, because you know that God has not only called you to a greater faith, but He's also called you to be a beacon of light to others. The transformation isn't just a moment, it's a lifestyle. Every day is a new opportunity to live out the lessons you've learned. You don't rely on your own strength anymore, you rely on God's, and that has made all the difference. Where you once struggled to make sense of your pain, you now see it as part of God's perfect plan for your life. The storm didn't destroy you, it has made you into something stronger, something more beautiful in God's eyes. As you move forward, you know that you will still face challenges. But now, you face them with a new strength, a strength that comes from knowing that God is with you and that He will never leave you or forsake you. You are no longer defined by your past struggles. You are defined by your faith in the one who has brought you through it all. This section focuses on the protagonist embracing the transformation in both their spiritual and emotional life. Their newfound faith and strength are highlighted, and it emphasizes how their perspective has shifted to embrace God's presence and guidance. Would you like to proceed to the next section, or would you like to make any changes? As you reflect on the journey you've walked, it becomes clear that everything, every struggle, every tear, every moment of uncertainty was not in vain. The storm you once feared, the battle you felt you couldn't win, was always part of something much greater. In fact, it was in those moments of deep pain and doubt that God was working behind the scenes, orchestrating your healing and transformation. You now see that God was never absent, never silent, even when it felt like He was. He was always there, shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for the breakthrough you didn't even know you needed. Looking back, it's clear that His hand was guiding you all along. The prayers that felt unanswered, they were being answered in ways you couldn't yet understand. The moments when you felt abandoned, they were the moments when God was closest to you, working out His perfect plan for your life. The pain that once seemed so overwhelming has now become a testament to God's faithfulness. You can see how in the midst of your darkest hours, He was already turning things around for your good. The very struggles you faced have become the stepping stones that have led you to a place of deeper faith and greater strength. God was using those moments to prepare you for something far greater than you could have imagined. Your journey has taught you something powerful about faith. That it's not about having all the answers, not about seeing the end of the road or understanding the why of every situation. Faith is about trusting God with the process, believing that He is always working in your life even when you can't see it. You've learned that faith isn't a destination, it's a journey. And with each step, God is revealing more of His goodness, His love, and His perfect timing. As you move forward, you carry with you the knowledge that no matter what comes next, you don't walk alone. God has already turned things around. The breakthrough has already begun. And while the future may still hold challenges, you now face them with a peace that surpasses understanding, knowing that God's plan for you is unfolding in ways you could never have expected. This journey is a reminder that the best is yet to come. The struggles, the doubts, the moments of feeling lost, they were never the end of your story. In fact, they were only the beginning. And now, as you stand on the other side of this transformation, you realize that God had already turned it all around long before you could see it. As you look ahead, know that God is faithful. His promises are true. And whatever you face, He will continue to work all things together for your good. Your story isn't over. In fact, the best chapters are still to come. If you're watching this and you feel like you're standing in the middle of your own storm, wondering if God sees you or if He's forgotten about you, let me remind you, you're not alone. Just like the story you've heard today, your journey isn't over yet and God's work in your life is far from finished. I encourage you to take a moment right where you are to trust Him. Let go of your fears, your doubts, and the weight of the struggles you're carrying. Surrender it all to Him and watch as He begins to turn things around in ways you never expected. Your breakthrough is coming. If you feel encouraged by this message, share it with someone who needs it. Maybe they're walking through a season of pain or uncertainty. Your story and this message could be the reminder they need to hold on to their faith and trust in God's plan. And don't forget to subscribe for more motivational stories of hope, faith, transformation, and the powerful ways that God works in our lives, even when we can't see it. Keep trusting. The best is yet to come.